was a dreary Saturday afternoon when I first stumbled across the flyer for the estate auction. The paper, yellowed and crumpled, was pinned to the community board at the local coffee shop. Estate sale. Everything must go, it read in bold letters. Beneath that, an address. An old mansion on the outskirts of town. Something about the place had always intrigued me. Whispered stories of its former glory and the strange events that had unfolded within its walls. As I sipped my coffee, curiosity overtook me. I had never attended an estate sale before, but the thought of uncovering hidden treasures in a forgotten house stirred something deep within. The mansion had been abandoned for years, a looming shadow against the skyline. The townsfolk often speculated about its peculiar history. Ghostly sightings, bizarre occurrences, and the madness that had driven the last owner away. When I arrived at the mansion that following weekend, the air was thick with anticipation. A small crowd had gathered, each person drawn in by the allure of the unknown. I felt a mix of excitement and trepidation as I walked up the crumbling path flanked by overgrown hedges. The house loomed before me, its once grand facade now draped in decay, windows boarded up like eyes that had long forgotten how to see. The auctioneer, a stout man with a booming voice, stood on the front steps, gesturing to the small crowd. "Welcome, everyone. Today we're offering a glimpse into the past. Remember, everything you see here has a story. Who knows what treasures await?" As he began the auction, I glanced around, taking in the atmosphere. The house was filled with the remnants of a life once lived, dusty furniture, tarnished silverware, and paintings that seemed to watch me as I moved. I felt an inexplicable pull toward the house, as if it were calling to me, begging me to uncover its secrets. The auctioneer started with smaller items, old lamps, chairs, and trinkets. I found myself getting lost in the moment, imagining the lives of those who once owned them. But it was when he gestured toward a large, ornate mirror that my heart raced. "Now we have this exquisite mirror," he announced, his voice dripping with intrigue. "It once belonged to the late owner of this mansion. It's said to be a family heirloom, and some claim it holds more than just reflections." He chuckled lightly, but the crowd murmured with unease. The mirror was magnificent. Its frame was intricately carved with designs that seemed to twist and turn like ivy creeping up a tree. It was larger than anything I had ever seen, reflecting the fading daylight in an almost haunting way. A strange energy radiated from it, a whisper of the past echoing in my mind. As the bidding began, I found myself raising my hand without fully realizing it. My heart raced as others joined in. Soon it became a fierce contest. Finally, after a tense back and forth, the auctioneer's gavel banged against the wooden podium. "Sold," he declared. A thrill of excitement surged through me. I had won the mirror. But as I stood there, a cold wave of dread washed over me. I glanced back at the crowd and noticed a few faces twisted in concern, whispering amongst themselves. Ignoring the chill that crept down my spine, I paid for my prize and arranged for it to be delivered to my home. That evening, I placed the mirror in my living room, positioning it to catch the light. I admired its beauty, but a sense of unease lingered in the air. Every time I walked past it, I felt as though it was watching me, a silent observer in my life. I shrugged it off as an overactive imagination, convinced the eeriness would fade over time. Days turned into weeks, and I began to settle into a routine. However, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. At night, I would catch glimpses of movement in the mirror's reflection, but whenever I turned to look, there was nothing there. The shadows in the corners of my living room seemed to deepen, stretching toward the mirror as if trying to escape its presence. One evening, as I was cleaning, I noticed a faint inscription on the back of the mirror. Moving it away from the wall, I began to dust it off, discovering intricate symbols etched into the wood. They were unfamiliar to me, ancient-looking but oddly captivating. I felt a strange compulsion to trace my fingers over them, As I did, a rush of memories flooded my mind. Visions of the mansion, its halls filled with laughter and life, quickly turning to screams and shadows. I stumbled back, heart racing, and fell onto my couch. My breathing quickened as I tried to make sense of what I had seen. It was as if the mirror had shown me fragments of its history, moments of joy intertwined with pain. A deep unease settled in my stomach as I realized the mansion had not just been abandoned. It had been the site of something dark and tragic. That night, I struggled to sleep, my mind racing with images from the mirror. I felt an undeniable urge to return to the mansion, to dig deeper into its history. Perhaps if I understood what had happened, I could rid myself of the oppressive feeling that clung to me. The next day, I drove back to the mansion, determined to uncover its secrets. As I approached, I noticed the overgrown hedges had become even wilder, as if the house was trying to hide itself from the world. I parked and walked toward the entrance, my heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and dread. Inside, the air felt different, thicker, charged with a strange energy. Dust danced in the beams of light filtering through the cracked windows, and the silence was broken only by the creak of the floor beneath my steps. I wandered through the rooms, hoping to find clues about the mirror's past. Scattered papers, photographs, and forgotten trinkets hinted at a life once lived. As I explored, I stumbled upon an old journal hidden beneath a loose floorboard. Its pages were yellowed and fragile, but the words within told a chilling story of tragedy. The journal belonged to the last owner, a woman named Eleanor. Her writings revealed her family's downfall, loss, betrayal, and whispers of madness that had seeped into their lives like poison. She wrote about her obsession with the mirror, her belief that it held the key to her family's legacy. As I continued reading, a chilling realization washed over me. Eleanor believed the mirror contained the souls of her ancestors, trapped within its reflection. She had performed rituals to free them, but instead, they seemed to draw darkness closer. Beware the reflections, one entry warned, for they can show more than mere images. They reveal truths that the heart cannot bear. My blood ran cold. I had unwittingly brought a piece of that darkness into my home. The feeling of being watched returned, more intense than ever. Clutching the journal tightly, I left the mansion and drove home, my mind racing with what I had learned. Once home, I paced around my living room, the mirror's presence looming over me like a dark cloud. I grabbed a blanket and covered it, hoping to shield myself from its gaze. But even under the fabric, I felt its energy thrumming beneath the surface. Faint whispers filled the silence, and shadows flickered at the edges of my vision. That night, I had trouble sleeping. Each time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes of the mansion, its grandeur reduced to ruin, the mirror reflecting not just my image, but the shadows of Eleanor's pain. The darkness seemed to creep closer, an oppressive weight suffocating me. Finally, I could take it no longer. I decided to return the mirror to the mansion, to rid myself of its curse once and for all. At dawn, with the early light casting long shadows across my living room, I wrapped the mirror carefully and loaded it into my car. The road to the mansion felt foreign, the trees lining the path whispering warnings as I passed. When I arrived, the mansion stood still, a solemn witness to the darkness within. I pushed open the front door, its creak echoing through the empty halls. The air inside felt heavier than before, charged with sorrow and regret. I carried the mirror to the room where I had found the journal, setting it down gently. My heart pounded as I placed the journal beside it, hoping it would serve as an offering, a bridge between the past and the present. Taking a deep breath, I whispered, "Eleanor, I'm here to help you. I'm here to set you free." The temperature dropped suddenly, and I could see my breath in the air. Shadows flickered across the walls, whispering secrets just out of reach. A wave of overwhelming sadness washed over me, Eleanor's anguish entwining with my own. "Show me what I need to see," I said, my voice steady despite the fear gnawing at me. The mirror began to shimmer, its surface rippling like water. My reflection faded, replaced by visions of another time. I saw Eleanor's family, laughter echoing through the halls, warmth and joy quickly extinguished by betrayal. I saw Eleanor herself, desperate to hold on to the past, her obsession with the mirror consuming her. The darkness crept in, her descent into madness inevitable. Suddenly, the vision stopped, and I was thrown back into reality, gasping for breath. The shadows writhed around me, their whispers growing louder. "I'm so sorry," I murmured, tears streaming down my face. "You deserve peace." As I spoke, the mirror began to glow softly, illuminating the room. The shadows receded, and the whispers turned into a gentle lullaby. A profound sense of relief washed over me. Eleanor's anguish lifted, replaced by peace. The mirror shimmered again, showing me the mansion as it once was, vibrant and alive, filled with love. I understood then that the mirror was not just a reflection of the past. It was a bridge, a way for Eleanor to reconnect with the joy she had lost. Reaching out, I touched the glass. Warmth radiated from it, and I whispered, "I release you. Go to the light." The mirror glowed brighter, a final surge of energy filling the room. The shadows vanished, replaced by light. Eleanor's presence faded, her spirit finally at peace. When the light dimmed, I stood in silence, my heart full of gratitude. The mirror, once a source of darkness, had become a vessel of healing. Carefully, I wrapped it in the blanket and carried it back to my car. As I drove away, the mansion disappeared in my rearview mirror, a haunting silhouette against the dawn. A sense of closure settled over me, the oppressive weight lifted. In the days that followed, I often found myself reflecting on what had happened. The darkness that had lingered in my home was gone, replaced by peace. The mirror, now hanging in my living room, was no longer a symbol of fear, but of transformation. A reminder of the strength it took to confront the past and the bond one had formed with a lost soul seeking peace. Every time I looked into the mirror, I saw not just my reflection, but a story of redemption, healing, and light.